Welcome back to Recreate It, the WrestleMania 6 edition, brought to you by FRW. Today we're going to be looking at WrestleMania 6 in figure form, the review of it. Can we recreate it? Let's find out. First off, this is the first WrestleMania to leave the States, which is why I had the little fluttering bird there, kind of motif. So hopefully you enjoy. This is WrestleMania 6. And of course, before we begin as well, I know that I've gotten a few comments already, and I appreciate that. I'm not upset or anything like that, and don't think that at all. Some of my videos will not have like current stuff, because even though these might pop up once a week, I've actually recorded these. When this one probably finally does pop up, I usually end up, because of how busy I am, I have to record these pretty much on my only day off of the week. So this is not my day job. I'm not a YouTuber, so I do have a regular 9-to-5 job. I work 6 days a week. So if something does change, if somebody does get announced being made, I'll make sure to try to include that in the next one, or maybe even do a recant or a update to the stats if need be. But currently I don't see David Sammartino or Leilani Kai anywhere on the created list coming up. So anyway, let's begin. This is Recreate It WrestleMania 6. Of course, a few facts. As I stated earlier, WrestleMania 6 took place on April 1st, 1990. Now, I was not a wrestling fan yet. I didn't become a wrestling fan until about WrestleMania 12, so I was about 6 years off. Of course, I was only like barely 4 years old. No, I was 3 years old, going to be 4 that year. It takes place in November. So I do remember hearing from people, though, who did watch the show, and of course, there's been countless pro wrestlers who've, done reviews, or even YouTube people doing reviews who talked about how it was 50-50. The crowd was really split. It took place at the Sky Dome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The record at the time of 67,678 fans. This was Hogan's 5th of 8 main events. 36 wrestlers in total were at the event. 2 wrestlers even participated, but I'm not counting those 2 that had a dark match, though. It's got to be live only. Now, of course, a few rules. As always, it has to make TV. It has to be on TV, the matches and whatnot. At the end of the event, we're going to run the stats. We're going to see how much this event can be recreated. I'm not including managers or valets or non-wrestlers. Again, no customized people. I know somebody said, "Hey, why did you include something with a possible head swap?" I was unaware of that, if that's the case. And again, I'm only going to count really the main attire. If I was to say, oh, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat didn't have a headband during that match, well, you're right. He did not during certain times. But I mean, if we did that, if we nitpicked everything, I mean, it could be like, hey, they didn't have the right color socks. And of course, it's the bulk of it. I mean, we can overlook a sock showing here or there. We can overlook a headband. So in the Undertaker review and whatnot, I know that he does have heads that match that look. There might be a figure. I think I couldn't find the picture of it when I was looking through old gray Undertaker attires. I know I've seen it. It is out there. So during this video, spoiler, you're going to see an Undertaker picture from previous. Only because the only one I found that kind of looked like it was just in bad shape, and you couldn't really see it too well anyway. So with that being said, let's begin the show. All right. WrestleMania 6 kicked off. Match 1 was Coco Beware versus Rick Martel. Now, we can recreate it. It is not accurate. I found Red Trunks Coco as an LJN, and I found a Hasbro Rick Martel, but to my knowledge, there's no Rick Martel with a light blue color scheme. Coco does have a Jack-specific figure that allows more maneuverability, but it's a yellow-white, or he's got a bluish one with Frankie on the sides. So I was trying to find the closest I could. Rick Martel, he's got pink, he's got purple, and he's got Strike Force white. That's pretty much all he's got. On to match 2. The WWF Tag Team Championship match. The challengers were Axe and Smash versus the champions Andre the Giant and Haku. This is around the time that Andre pretty much was becoming very immobile. having a hard time moving around, so they decided to tag him up, and they gave Haku the honor of being his tag team champion partner. They would not keep the belts; they lose them here. But as you can see, you can recreate this match again. Action Smash. They only really focus on one iconic-looking face paint. I know there's a 3-pack out there that has a little bit of a difference to it. But essentially you've got him. Andre, there's a basic Andre in blue. I know there's an Elite out there in the 4-pack. And Haku, only a Jack specific. That matches really that attire. Of course, if you see there's a white shin pad on there, it's not on the figure. Semantics. It's got to be the bulk. If over 80% of the tire is there, I'm going to count it as accurate. And on to WrestleMania 6 third match was Earthquake versus Hercules. Now, we have an Earthquake coming. The color's a little bit off. I do believe he did have a Canadian flag because this was in Canada. As you can see, you can recreate it with an LJN Hercules. It's going to look horrible. You're not able to do much with it. It's not accurate. By that time, Hercules was into the baby blue powdered trunks with the white boots. It was his face run. Earthquake was being built as a monster. So, I mean, kudos to Mattel. They're going to be popping up an Earthquake here pretty soon. That pretty much is that attire. I can't see from it. It might just be his blue jocks without the Canadian flag, but I thought the Canadian flag was on there during that time. So for the most part, it is accurate. If the flag, or it's accurate probably for Earthquake, but even if it's not accurate for Earthquake, it's not accurate for Hercules. So it's not like one gets to make the other one accurate. No, this is not accurate. No matter what, that's the only Hercules we have, and clearly. He is long overdue for a upgraded figure. WrestleMania 6, the fourth match. Now, this is Brutus the Bar Beefcake versus Mr. Perfect, and believe it or not, you can recreate this match, and you can have it accurate. The styles will be a little clashing. You have a Mattel Basic with a Jack Specific, but yeah, there's Brutus the Bar Beefcake. I believe that's Series 5 of Classic Superstars, and the WrestleMania Heritage set is Mr. Perfect in yellow. The knee pads aren't the proper knee pads, but again, semantics. I'm not gonna, go through that. Mattel releases whatever knee pads they feel like with it. We can always swap them if need be. That's not really a huge customization, more of just swapping some parts, but that does require taking boots off or heating stuff up. But the point is, that's the accurate attire. You got yellow attire right there. Beefcake has got the stripes right there. He's got the blue or the pink wrist armband thing, so that's very accurate. Then we got the fifth match. We got Bad News Brown versus Roddy Piper. And yes, there is a very controversial Jack Pacific Roddy Piper that does exist. If you can see, it is extremely rare. It is a Toy Fair 2007 giveaway. So if you don't have this, good luck getting your hands on this without getting into your checkbook. You're dipping into your bank account. I mean, this is 100 figures. This is rare. This is rare, and by today's standards, so incorrect and so. According to Roddy Piper, he said that he was just trying to do a Michael Jackson around the time. This is around the time that the song "White and Black" came out. Don't matter if you're white or black. And that's why he had the glove. That's why he was doing little mannerisms or whatever it was. Could not mimic Michael Jackson whatsoever, but looking back, it just does not age well. But it does exist in figure form if you can find it. Bad news, we've seen him countless times. He's only got one figure ever made, and here it is, Classic Superstars Jax. Then we got WrestleMania 6. The sixth match was the Hart Foundation, Bret and Jim Neidhart versus the Bolsheviks. Nikolai, which I'm told is spelled wrong. I may have been spelling it wrong. I'll have to go check into that. I've always spelled it that way, or I've seen it spelled that way, but I may be wrong. And then Boris Zhukov. Now, you can recreate this. There actually is a Boris Zhukov figure. It is in the Madam Mania, the AWA line. He is known simply as the Russian, but that was his gimmick in AWA before he went over to WWF. Um, and so you've got Nikolai Volkov and you got a Bolshevik. So styles are gonna be clashing. I mean, you've got a Jackson. I mean, you can get a Mattel Elite Nikolai Volkov. You've got the Hart Foundation here in Mattel Elite, which with the appropriate attire right there. But I didn't necessarily include saying it was accurate because Boris, if you look at the time, he was wearing a singlet that kind of is almost like trunks. It's not tights, and these are tights, so it was not accurate. But you can recreate it if you can find that figure. I'm told though it's not as pricey or as rare to find as a Roddy Piper, one of 100 black or white edition, but it's still going to be up there. Then you got the WrestleMania 6 7th match. You got the Barbarian versus Tito Santana. You can recreate it. It is very accurate. There's the Tito from the Mattel. Barbarian has not had a Mattel yet. He did have Jack Pacific. They made him in Warlord as Powers of Pain, and then they made him in singles individual run. This is his singles run, but still as a tag team attire, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it's pretty much right there. I think there might be a little bit of more decal work again. If he's in tights and they're black, great. I mean, unless it's like something that's really drastic, it could just be decal or deco. I keep saying decal, but deco. They might, decide they weren't going to put a bunch of deco on him, or maybe they couldn't afford to. But essentially, this is what, I mean, if you look at the photo, it looks just like that. So I'm going to say that's accurate. WrestleMania 6, the 8th match was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Queen Sharmell. Or, sorry, not Queen Sharmell, Queen Sherry, excuse me. Sharmell was Booker T's. And later on, you'll see she has a figure, and I think she might make an appearance somewhere down the road. Point is, you have the Dusty Rhodes, he's in the polka dots, but there's no Sapphire. We never got a Sapphire. I don't see us ever getting a Sapphire. I heard she had a kind of bad falling out with the WWF back in the day. Of course, she's now deceased, R.I.P. But apparently she was not happy about splitting up with Dusty. She didn't like the idea of going heel and all that stuff, so they just fired her. And, said, oh, Ted DiBiase bought her contract, or she's now the valet, but you never saw her again. So she had her 15 minutes of fame, or probably more than that, probably about a year of fame. And she just kind of was there in the moment. She was at a WrestleMania. She wrestled. She took on Queen Sherry. But you can almost recreate this match if we just had Sapphire, because the tires are there. The other three are all good to go, ready to go, waiting on a Sapphire. But right now, the match goes to the void. Now we got the 9th match of WrestleMania 6. Again, these WrestleManias, they love to pile on so many matches. But you have the Orient Express, Tanaka, and Sato versus the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. This match goes to the void. There's only the Rockers. I looked up the Japanese lines. I couldn't find a Pat Tanaka or a Sato. I could find them in custom form, but nothing ever mass released. So unless you're going to throw out some money to get those two obscure people made for your personal collection, you can't make it. It does not happen. So this match goes to the void as well. Then we're on to the 10th match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Dino Bravo. You can recreate this match. The Dino is not quite accurate. He's more of a lighter grayish color, and this is obviously the Zombie Sailor Toys figure pops up again. Hey, what do you know? It's like they're finally making people. I hope he gets an uncensored line one day. I might snag him up because he was in quite a few WrestleManias. He wasn't a major key player, but he did make the numbers when it came time. Of course, going to the dark side of the ring if you want to hear what happened to him. But point is, you can recreate this match. It is not accurate. Jim Duggan, they said he can cost a little bit. I don't know the price on these. I haven't looked into them. I'm not a Hasbro retro-looking figure collector. But all you need is one of him, and then, hey, you can recreate quite a few matches from earlier WrestleManias. Then you've got your 11th match, which is the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase versus Jake the Snake Roberts. And right off the bat, we can see from the picture, it's just not going to work. You can recreate it. These are both Mattel Elites. They came in Jack Pacific as well. You can find them in LJN. You can even find them in Hasbro figurines. But that attire of Jake, not a pink attire. No, it's green in this situation. That's the Chase variant from the Legends Series 8, I do believe. And so you've got Ted DiBiase. He's hard to find, becoming more and more hard to find as the years go on. This is the Hall of Fame. It was a short-lived run that came out for a little while here and there. Gave us a few cool, desirable attires, but that's about it. All we've got out of that. Then you got Jake the Snake Roberts. And fun, interesting fact about him was later on we go to the next WrestleMania, and we talk about Jake versus the Undertaker at WrestleMania. I do believe it was 7, or it could be 8. I'll have to look back. We'll approach it very shortly. But the thing about that was that when he left, he actually had to sign over his merchandise rights, and so that's why we keep seeing Mattel produce Jake the Snake Roberts figures, despite he's with AEW. And I think that they know that it's, they want to get him out there as quick as possible. And I'm looking forward to his WCW looking attires more than his earlier, because like I said, when I started becoming a fan, he was back around during the Revelation time, but by then he couldn't really go anymore. It was pretty sad, especially when you see what he could do in the past. I mean, he wasn't the greatest techno guy, but he had a good mind, and the attires look really cool. I felt like in his WCW looking run compared to his earlier WWF stuff. But if you wanted to recreate this match, we can. There is no Jake, though, in that color. And, of course, Ted, hey, that's how he was $1 Million Man. He never changed his attire. It's always the same thing. Now, the 12th match was the Twin Towers explode, basically. He's Big Boss Man versus Akeem. Now, the previous thing we talked about, we know we could recreate the Rockers match with these two. But now they fight each other. So you can recreate it. It is accurate. You've got Akeem. Again, this Akeem is costly, especially mock. Loose, still looking at $100-something. Boss Man, he's going down and whatnot because there's new ones coming out of him in the future. So if you want to recreate this match but didn't want to pay out that kind of money, look for his Jax alternative Akeem figure. I don't believe there was an LJN. I think there was a Hasbro, so you could probably go in that route, but I think those are very costly nowadays too, because they are they're over 20 years old at this point, or some of them close to it, and nostalgic feels kick in for people who had this stuff. And the 13th match is Ravishing Rick Rude versus Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You can recreate this. It is not accurate not because of Snuka. Snuka is pretty much right there. Barefoot, leopard trunks. It's Rick Rude. I found the closest I could, but you see it's green. He's in blue. All the other ones we've had are specifically from certain time periods, like his SummerSlam attire for Mattel, or he's got the pink attire, which kind of works for quite a few different shows. His newest one was from a SummerSlam as well. Really cool looking attire. And then there's one with the Intercontinental title, but he was not Intercontinental Champion at the time. And so this is the best we can get. As close as we can get is with the nonsense. It says Ravishing all over it. Really cool, really toyetic figure. Not to knock it or anything like that. These are still two very cool figures, and they look great as the entrance. And then finally, we got the main event. Now, this was the Ultimate Challenge. This was the Ultimate Warrior, the WWF Intercontinental Champion, and Hulk Hogan, the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. They were both on the line. This is champion versus champion. You can recreate it. It is accurate. In fact, boom, there it is. Jacked Classic Superstars. They have the proper yellow attire belt. They cheaped out and didn't paint or do anything in the decal of the WWF title, unfortunately. But with Jack specific, you can get those belts fully painted. In fact, you can get the Intercontinental yellow belt with the new Ultimate Warrior from the Royal Rumble line that Mattel made. So there's your option right there. There is a Mattel Ultimate Warrior in that attire. Kind of getting harder to find as the years go on, as far as, like, you know, affordability. And of course, you just need defining moments. Hogan, practically, he didn't really change his look. Obviously, there might be a little bit more hair on the top of his head, but again, semantics. I'm not going to count that. Point is, you want to recreate these as this. There it is. You want to recreate it in Mattel. They have the option as well. So let's get the numbers down. And the stats are, you could not recreate this event. 3 wrestlers have never been made. They are Sapphire, maybe somebody needs her, Pat Tanaka, who, and Sato, who? Sato. The Orient Express, basically. So, I mean, as cool as it would be to have another tag team, I mean, essentially you could just, I mean, if I remember correctly, I think one of the guys wore a mask, or that could have been somebody else later on when they broke that group up. But I just don't see those people being made. So, as it stands right now, WrestleMania 6 is only 85% complete. Now, I've started going forward in videos, putting the top 3 and then putting the first, second, and third from now on. So right now it's a little bit jumbled, but as you can see, Jax won. They have 85%. You can get 29 figures from Jax to recreate this show. Mattel came in second with 26, and then LJN with 18. Now, going forward, we're going to start to see LJN actually fall off, and Hasbro starts to take either second, third, or even first in some situations. So be prepared for that kind of stuff. Of course, they're not the most playable. Well, LJN was just giant plastic statues, rubber plastic statues. Hasbro had a little bit of action, but they, for the most part, were statues with movable arms. Or weird stance poses. We'll be getting into the bone-crushing action. We'll be getting into the Titantron Live figures. So it'll be really interesting to see how those stack up in the future. But as far as accuracy, it's 57%. So we're not quite there. We haven't found a recreated 100%, let alone 100% accuracy. Will we ever? You got to tune in to find out. Again, I want to thank you, and please leave a comment, and please subscribe. I was told it's time to put on the subscribe button. Some people ask me, you don't have a subscribe button. How do you expect to ever grow this channel, or or do something else other than this? I want to thank you again for being here. Of course, next time you see these videos, it'll be WrestleMania 7 edition. And now subscribe if you want to be notified of the next FRW video. I plan to drop these once a week. I know I've dropped 2 just back to back. I was told by some people, you want to start showing you have a history, and you want to start showing that you're consistent. So leaving one and then waiting a week and then dropping another and then waiting a week, people forget about it. You want to kind of make an impact to begin with. So as always, all images are from Google and whatnot, and I don't try to steal them. I'm not trying to. It's all literally just for a tire of accuracy. So hopefully I'll see you next time. WrestleMania 7, I can tell you right now, that edition of Recreated, I did a little bit nicer, more patriotic theme. So look forward to that, and I'll see you next time.